Morning, Neil Sean here in the heart of London. Really just a quick royal update on that documentary that caused a lot of you to get in touch. Of course, we're talking about the ITV documentary focusing on Prince Andrew, Epstein and Maxwell. It was broadcast by the commercial channel ITV just 2 nights ago now. And of course, as I say, when we made the original video, lots and lots of people got in touch, wanted to know what did I think to it and how accurate was it. Well, I thought I'd share my initial thoughts with you and what I found out so far. It's interesting to note, isn't it, as we said the other day on the programme, that Miss Singh, that is the journalist Ranveer Singh, decided to go in pursuit allegedly of the truth, seemingly also bypassing anything that seemed anything like journalistic integrity, because of course then she decided to make the story virtually part of her own story. It all got rather confusing, of course, with Miss Singh looking rather sullen in the back of a London black cab. I'm not quite sure what the purpose of that revelation was. But here's what I found out so far and I wanted to share with you. There was one particular incident that stung out for me, and it was really a strange sort of dilemma, an interview really, because this was with a gentleman called Mr. Page. Now, he's apparently a former Metropolitan Police protection officer who originally worked at Buckingham Palace, of course the most famous royal palace in the world. And basically the story that he came up with was that Prince Andrew insisted on all of these teddies being spread out on his bed in this particular order. So much so that in fact there was even a laminated picture kept in the top drawer which a maid would show anybody who had to clean the room in which order those teddies had to be placed out. All rather confusing, don't you think? But it wouldn't take much to dig up that particular story, because that part of the story is true. All those teddies were indeed put out on the bed. Not for Prince Andrew, I might point out, for of course his visiting daughters when they came to Buckingham Palace. But let's not bother about that part of the story, because this particular gentleman, again very strange when you think about it with ITV, as I say, a former royal protection officer who was then sentenced and jailed after running a scam inside Buckingham Palace. Naturally, ITV only made a very brief mention of this. In fact, so brief you would have missed it in the intro, because once again, that wasn't part of their narrative. Now, the rest of the documentary really was just filled up with talking heads and, you know, there was nothing really concrete there, you know. It was all really sold on tabloid gossip. And that's the whole point of it, really, if you think about it. Once again, the reason why I bring these stories up and want to clarify them for you is we are a community that believes in the truth, impartiality. This is what I found out. How easy would it have been with all their vast sums of money for the production team over at ITV to find something similar? And more importantly, why take the word of a convicted criminal who ran, as they say, a scam inside Buckingham Palace over doing some research yourself? Were they that desperate for interviews? As ever with the mainstream media, it got even worse, because today we had the pleasure of welcoming the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge to the Foundling Museum here in London. It was a wonderful, warm visit. That until, once again, the mainstream media got involved. A young man from Sky News, who claims to be a journalist, but that's very debatable given Sky's background, basically had the audacity to ask His Royal Highness Prince William whether he was supporting his uncle Prince Andrew. Naturally, Prince William was guided away and feigned that he couldn't actually hear the question. A very shrewd and clever move by him. What I say about the mainstream media is this: be very careful what you actually believe and what you actually see. It's all very cleverly edited. And more importantly, you know, if you want the truth, truly come over to me. I will tell you exactly what I know and truly be impartial. It's not about creating headlines or getting sensationalism to be in the paper. Facts are facts. What was embarrassing for Sky News is they're already plummeting in the ratings. In fact, let me tell you this. On the Sky News breakfast show, it rates that badly, it doesn't even come on the Richter scale. But of course, with the mainstream media, it's becoming harder and harder for them to sensationalise the truth. Something we would never do here on this channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that's clarified some of the fears about this rather strange and totally unimpartial documentary from ITV. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.